Good afternoon. We're here for another 5-minute book bite, which is a joint venture of the Martha's Vineyard Times, Edgartown Books, MV Arts and Ideas, and Islanders Right. And we're here today with Tom Dresser, who is the author of the brand new book, his 15th, Martha's Vineyard and the Roaring Twenties. And the subtitle is Radicals and Rascals. Tom, this is a 5-minute book bite. And so I've got a timer. I'm going to start it. And when it goes off, we'll have about 30 seconds to pull everything together. But thank you so much for joining us. And tell us what it is that inspired you or captured your attention enough to write about Martha's Vineyard in the Roaring Twenties.
Well, I realized that the 20s are a very exciting era, and I wanted to see how the vineyard worked with all the excitement that was going on in the Roaring Twenties. So that's my background of the book.
Okay, and so tell me, you've got radicals and rascals. Well, who were these radicals and who were these rascals? And were they all vineyarders?
Well, the Rascals were the people who kind of tried to avoid prohibition by getting the liquor off supply ships and bringing it into the vineyard. And they're great stories of that exciting era. The Radicals, on the other hand, were liberals that were looking to sort of change the world a little bit. And a group of them came to Martha's Vineyard, people like Felix Frankfurter and Max Eastman. And they started the American Civil Liberties Union. So
Yes.
you've got radicals and rascals.
And for those who might not remember, Felix Frankfurter went on to become a Supreme Court justice.
Right. And that's just a small part of the story. Another radical that many people have heard of are flappers. And flappers are young women who were independent. They got the right to vote. They got their license. They were working. They could smoke. And they could drink if someone bought them a drink. And that's how they sort of avoided prohibition and showed their independence.
Well, now tell me, what were the great influences that were going on in the Roaring Twenties? Obviously, the Prohibition. Prohibition was a big thing. What else was going on?
Well, one thing that sort of instigated this whole thing with me recently was the coronavirus that we went through sort of replicated what happened with the Spanish flu just before the 1920s. Women got the right to vote in 1920, and then they took away the right to drink. So all those things contributed to the Roaring Twenties.
One of the great things about the Roaring Twenties is there are tremendous stories of people who were bootleggers. Were there bootleggers here on the vineyard?
There definitely were bootleggers here on the vineyard. There were fishermen who would go out to the supply ships and load up their vessels with alcohol and then put a canvas over it and go out fishing. And so they came back with 2 loads of items that they could sell. So they made quite a killing as long as the Coast Guard didn't catch up with them. But there are many tales like that where there were moonlit nights and things going on that weren't quite legal. And we have several of those stories in this book.
Yeah, and Felix Frankfurter and his radicals, for example, they were way up island, weren't they?
Right. They had a commune at a place called Barnhouse, and they were off-island people who vacationed in the summer here. They spent the night in chicken coops, and then they gathered at this Barnhouse, which overlooks Lucy Vincent Beach.
Tom, what stands out as the biggest moment in the Roaring Twenties on Martha's Vineyard to you?
For me, I think it was the women getting the right to vote. That's what it's all about.
And our timer just went off, so we have about 30 seconds. So it was the women getting the vote was the biggest thing, in your opinion, about the Roaring Twenties in the vineyard?
Yes, because that has lasted a century, and it's only fair that they get the right to vote. Prohibition was overturned. World War I ended, but we had World War II. and women are half our population. Let's give them the vote and keep them having the vote.
Well, I would say in 1920, it was long overdue. But Tom, thank you. Now, remember, it's his new book, Martha's Vineyard and the Roaring Twenties, Radicals and Rascals. And Tom,
Right.
thank you so much.